Okay, how's your grandkids? Good. See. Okay. I miss you. So we just got back last night. We were gone for 2 days. Okay. Just got back last night. Okay. ¿Estás tienes okay? Good.
Sorry for the interruption. Mr. Pindell, Mr. Montes, we have a CIS form. Everybody fills one out every year. This is the anybody that's gifting you. I called you yesterday and you guys said fill it out from last year. If there's any changes, I have blank ones, but if there is no changes, just send them over. Yours is over there, okay, sir?
The only thing I have, my wife and daughter were substitutes there.
Nothing at all. ¿Para qué?
It's on the bottom. What? Hey. Excuse me, Mary. Signature. We'll put that.
Sí, gracias a Dios. Franklin Elementary students, it's one from each grade level. I thought maybe where they were in a group in there now. You did fill one out for 2025, but I need one for 2026. Okay. I filled out pretty much everything for you already. All I need is your signature.
Okay, let's see right here.
That's it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it now.
Thank you.
I know I have one too.
I can have two things at the same time.
All right. Everybody ready? Ready? All right, wish me luck. Good evening, everyone. We want to welcome you to our February board meeting. At this time, board members, please turn on your microphone and speak into your microphone to capture your questions and concerns. This meeting is being streamed live on the district website at www.clintweb.net. The time is now 6 p.m. on the 24th day of February 2026, and I call this regular board meeting of the Clint Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Board members, please raise your hand and stay present when your name is called to confirm your attendance. Ms. Shea, could you please call roll?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Jennifer Parker,
Present.
Mr. James Pandell,
Present.
Ms. Mary Macias, Ms. Fredo Montes,
Present.
Ms. Isela Torres,
Present.
Ms. Claudia Marquez, and I am Yvonne Shea, present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Let the record show that a quorum of Clint ISD board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge will be presented by the Frank Macias Eagles. One student from every grade level is representing today, so please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Hi, my name's Apollo and we're from Frank Macias Elementary.
Hi, I'm Giselle. Let's start the U.S. pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, my name is Alexa. Now for the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. Good job, Frank Macias. In Mr. Pindell's words, this is the best district in the state of Texas. So the great mission of Clint Independent School District is to prepare all students to be successful citizens. The district will work in partnership with the community and the family to create opportunities for the students to maximize personal potential. But along with our mission, it's Clint ISD's vision with the assistance of our students, staff, and our community. And that vision is, and we just like to all say it together. Are you ready? Together, we build tomorrow. This is the portion of the agenda for public forum. The Board of Trustees welcomes citizens to come forward at the monthly meetings and speak on subjects related to the school district. In public comment, citizens are offered this opportunity to address the Board of Trustees. However, as the subject matter may not be on the agenda, the board cannot engage in discussion and board action cannot be taken. Public comments for this meeting were requested to be submitted to noemi.oropesa@clint.net anytime prior to the regular board meeting start time. Mrs. Oropesa, do we have any public speakers for tonight? Thank you. And before I turn it over to the superintendent for the superintendent comments, I do want to just take this time to, first of all, thank you all for being here and extending your long days for tonight. But also to thank Mr. Pindell for his service as our board president. And he's going to hold me up through this process today. But thank you so much for leading the way and guiding us all through this process.
You're going to do fine.
Okay. And now I turn it over to Dr. Martinez for superintendent comments.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you again for adding the vision statement to that hopefully becomes a tradition as we had the mission statement. Now we're adding the vision statement, and we can recite it all together. And the vision statement is together we build tomorrow. And in keeping in that tradition of working together with families, let me invite all the families and our community to please complete the survey that is asking for the community input, parent input. It's called the Student Viewpoint Survey, and it is available both in English and in Spanish, and it's on our website. We also are publicizing it on our social media, but we do want to hear from our public, our parents, their viewpoints as we improve our school district. Regarding our cafeterias, our food services, please provide us all your input. And also I want to thank the middle schools who attended the Young Achievers Forum with UTEP, and that was a fantastic opportunity for our students to be engaged in different pathways in finance, business, health sciences, and trades, and they attended UTEP, and hopefully we get a lot more students next year, but I do want to thank those who organized the visit with UTEP. That is a fantastic opportunity for our students. And there's a long list, but I want to congratulate all of our students who are doing fantastically well in robotics, in drones competitions, that now we're going to state level and so on, and sports again. Lots of successes there as well. So mariachi and you name it, we have so many, but we will recognize each of them during the May celebration and recognition. But for now, we wish all of our students the best of luck in all the competitions, both locally and out of town, and the state competition as well. So, Madam President, thank you again. That's all my comments that I have.
A lot happening in the second semester. So the presentation of the agenda, we have a presentation regarding Clint ISD 2024-25 taper report and the 2023-24 financial actual report. Dr. Martinez.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, let me see who's presenting the taper report. This is Mr. Little John. I didn't see you, Mr. Little John.
Madam President, Dr. Martinez, members of the board, I first want to start off with touching on our CCMR. This is our mid-year CCMR. We are going to review it in the taper as well, but I wanted to touch and do the mid-year report, kind of sandwich the two together so that we could be a little more efficient with it. So as you know, in the taper, our taper is going to show our 23-24 CCMR was 98.9, so that rounds to a 99, and that will be in the taper report. Currently, our projection for the class of 25, remember it's always 1 year behind, we did drop a little at Horizon. We had some kids not pass a couple of courses, and of course, when they don't pass at the end, we can't earn that CCMR credit, but we are working on that. So we're gonna have a 96 for the 24-25 school year. And that could also change. We could have students that complete and graduate at other districts, so it might go up a little, is in that they earned a CCMR point in another district, and it goes back to our reporting. But remember, the state average is 60-something for CCMR. We are still way above the state average and still close to our target. For this current year, here is our progress of where we are on the CCMR to date as of January 30th. You'll see that not on track column. That's usually students who transfer to us that did not have a CCMR point, and we're working to get a CCMR point for them. So we have students in our senior class who either transferred in and didn't have a point or didn't have one that would align and be counted. So, but the majority of our students are on track. We are looking at having probably, right now, if we had our CCMR calculated, we would be at 97.5. But by the end of the year, our CCMR should go up. For example, Mountain View has 9 students that they're working with. If those 9 earn their point, then we're gonna be in the high 90s, 99, 98. So we're in really good shape in the middle of the year. Again, this is as of January 30th. And then I'm gonna go ahead and segue into the taper. The taper is about 1,500 pages. I am not gonna go through all 1,500 pages. I'm gonna do some big highlights. The taper, we did have a public hearing 2 weeks ago, and we did offer the full presentation there. The taper is on our website. It's accessible in many formats. And then I want to clarify that almost all of this data you have seen in some way, shape, or form over the last 6-8 months. It's just been in different formats, from reports we've given you, evaluations, and different reports. This is just the state's final report of the academic school year for 24-25. And again, it is located on our website. You can also download it from TEA, and then all of our options are there for our users, which has already been posted onto Clint ISD's website. There's 8 sections of the taper. I am briefly going to highlight each one. The first section is our overall academic performance, and I know you've seen our ratings, you've seen all of our scores from 24-25, you saw our growth, our accolades from TEA. PEAMS section 2 is our financial report, which is our audit from the previous year. That's where, of course, our rating, our first rating is listed there. Section 3 is our accreditation status, and we are accredited. Again, we've met all the requirements to remain and have that accreditation status. Section 4 is campus performance objectives, and if you recall, we brought those to you, I want to say in September, maybe August. So we've already brought those to you. Section 5 is report on violent crimes, and we have less than 5 that happened, which we'll show you. We can't divulge that exact number because it would identify the student, but we'll show you that in Section 5. Section 6 is our post-secondary readiness, and that's where the CCMR is. Section 7 is our board progress on the early literacy and also CCMR. And then finally, the definitions for the taper. And so this is our final report from TEA. The window is closed. All possibilities to get a waiver or to have an appeal have been closed, and the final report is published. Again, it's data that we've been looking at since August. Section 1 is the student performing and overall ratings on lots of data, but specifically the STAR test. TEA you can download it from TEA. This is what it looks like on the TEA website. Of course, our ratings also show our accountability, our special education determination status. We met requirements. That is something we haven't done in many years, and so we've met every single special education requirement. We also had a lot of growth there. We also have to make sure we give the ASVAB test at our campuses for students for the military, which we do. And then we also make sure our distinctions are posted with with the TAPER report from TEA if they've earned an acknowledgement from a campus. So section 1 talks about the scores on the STAR. I'm just going to highlight one. There is all of the grades third through all the way up to end of course. Just going to highlight one to show you what it looks like. So in the purple is approaches grade level, the blue is at meets grade level, and then the master's is green. And you can see a 2-year progression. So this is third grade, and overall you can see we went from a 66 to a 73, a 34 to a 44, and an 11 to a 17 on just that third grade reading. And that's how all of them look: third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, all the way up to end of course. We also look at school progress, the growth of our students, accelerated learning for our students who are under House Bill 1416, and then finally our academic growth under Domain 2. And so again, I'm going to just give you one sample. We look at each grade level and we see the amount of growth. So for fourth grade reading, we went from a 65 to a 69. And again, each grade level will have a similar table. You can see at some grade levels, most grade levels, we improved in fourth and fifth, but we will have this table for every grade level and every subject in the full taper. Section 1 in the next part talks about our bilingual education growth, ESL growth, also some of our STAR performance as it relates to reports for growth, accelerated learning, all of those combinations with connection to bilingual education. Again, I'll highlight just one subject area. These are all students who are coded under bilingual education. So for all subjects, we went up 2% on approaches, we went up 2% on meets, and we went up 3% on masters. So each of those color codings is the same, the purple, the blue, and the green, approaches, meets, and masters. The next section is STAR participation. I'm very pleased that Clint ISD had 100% participation. I know you look and you're looking at, well, some of the sub-pops were 99. It was 99.9, so it rounded to 100. But all of our students that should take the STAR test are taking the STAR test. We're being very thorough with that, which is very good. The next section has our absentee rate, our absenteeism, graduation rates, our grad profiles. And so attendance, we did improve overall from a 93 to a 94 and it's a lagging indicator because attendance is turned in at different times of the year. Our chronic absenteeism improved. Also, our dropout rate went from 1.1 to 0.4. So continually improving in those areas. Our graduation profile, 100% of the students graduated out of the 844 that were reported. That seems kind of like, how can we have 100%? Because I'm going to show you our graduation rate was 97, 96. Of all of the students that we reported that were with us that met all the criteria, 100% of them met the criteria and were graduated. This section also has CCMR, the indicators, our post-secondary readiness. And so I'll highlight again, our CCMR was 98.9, which rounds to a 99. The previous year was 97.1, so we went up almost 2 points. You can see our college ready, TSI, all of those are, have been steadily growing across the board. The next section has the student information, the staff information, the number of students we have by grade level, the number of staff by teacher, the ratios, and then program enrollment, like career and tech, GT, all of those are in this section of the report. So we finished the year officially with 10,053 students, and you can see the breakdown by each grade level. Our staff, we finished the school year with 656.9 teachers, and then you can see the breakdown of the other staff, but total staff that is reported in PEIMS to TEA was 1,491 staff members. Program information, you can see the amount of students in bilingual, career and tech, and those are the teachers on the left side. And then in another report on the other section, the students are listed there. These are our teachers. And then a new thing on the taper in the last couple of years is the number of teacher incentive allotment teachers. So we had 18 recognized teachers who earned a $5,611 payout on average. And then we had 111 teachers who were exemplary, who got 11,000 on average. And then we had 92 master teachers who received about 20,000 on average. And then just last week, we were informed that our designation for the last school year, 24-25, was accepted, and we have another 173 teachers who will be designated from the teacher incentive allotment. So we're going to be close to 60% of our teachers are going to receive funds through the teacher incentive allotment. And so how do we access the reports? We must have that in the actual document. So we have it, of course, online. We have it linked to our to our website, but we also have it through TEA. This is our financial report as it comes from the previous year. And of course, as you know, this is information that's not new for the 23-24 school year, which is what the taper uses. We did have a superior rating, and we met all criteria. And so that's all reviewed, and you're actually going to get a preview of this next year's audit tonight. Accreditation is making sure that we are meeting all the criteria we should, that we're following all statutes, and we don't have litigation or different issues with the state. And so we were accredited during the 23-24 school year. Section 4 is the campus performance objectives. Again, I brought those to you all in, I believe, August or September. They all have our periodically measured progress and the performance objectives that you all approved at that time. I did not include them all. If you remember that board meeting, it's like that many pages. It's a huge report. Report on violent or criminal incidents. We have just a handful of these. These may be a criminal incident that occurred on campus, outside of campus, or it falls under the Safe and Drug-Free Communities Act that we have to report. And we had just a few. We have to make sure that we have violence prevention policies and procedures. Here's just a sample of them. The anonymous alerts is there. We have truancy prevention. We have our drug education. We have our David's Law process, our security, and so on. Our counseling programs, all of those are listed there in our school-wide prevention to make sure we're lowering crime and making the school safe. We just had a handful at Mountain View, and it's less than 5. That's why you see the asterisk there. And it was a felony of controlled substance, which we're having a very hard time with the vapes and the THCP, but we only had a few last year that fell under that criteria that we reported to the state.
Mr. Littlejohn, you
Yes,
mentioned
ma'am.
it was at Mountain View High School, but the asterisk is, I think, under Horizon High School.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't bring my glasses up, Mrs. Parker.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
wasn't sure which one it was.
It is Horizon.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Kimball was
Yeah.
going to correct me after the meeting, I'm sure. But Horizon, again, 1,400 students, less than 5 all year is still very good in comparison to a lot of schools across the state of Texas.
Are they typically substance ones you have
Yes.
to report?
Yes, yes. Our performance at post-secondary institutions, this report gets a little skewed because we only get students who go to Texas schools in this report after they graduate. We do not get any students that go to, for example, NMSU in Las Cruces. That they don't count that student. That's our 3rd highest attended school. It's not on this report. So we do have our students that are attending 4-year, 2-year, and independent colleges, but a lot of our students who go to NMSU are not reported on this report. So we do have a little bit of skewed data there. I think in other parts of Texas, they don't have that influx like we do on the border, but we do have a few students there. And so you'll see the chart by campus. Of course, the early college is also a little different because they all already have a 2-year associates, or the majority do. So that's why their chart looks a lot different than the others. And then these charts show the 2- and 4-year public education. And again, Seca's looks very different because they almost all attend EPCC, and so a little higher data on that one. Finally, this is and we bring this to you multiple times during the year, our progress on our board goals, including our early literacy. And our goal was to be at 60%, and I know Ms. Cantu and Ms. Parker before that had kept you all abreast of our progress on those goals. Our data, and I'm not gonna go through all the data, we've already been over it several times with you, but we do look at our overall progression on that data for our early literacy goals for math and ELAR. And so just kind of jumping through those pretty quickly. And then for math, that was ELAR. For math, the same thing, 60% was our target, and we've been progressing as the charts show. And so the data continue. Remember, we've explained that on grade level and getting to an above grade level is the targets there. And then, of course, our CCMR, which our goal is to be at 100% this year. Right now, we're on really good track at 97. It's hard when you get up to the 98s, 99s, 97s, because one or two kids can just keep you from attaining it, but we are still working very hard to get there. And as I shared earlier on the slide before when we started, this is our projections, and our CCMR for 23-24 was officially 99. Our board goals, we're continually trying to get students into college, and so we've been looking at trying to get to 60% of our students attending college or two-year universities. We're still a little short of that goal, but we're leaving it high because we want our kids to attend college. And then the last section is just all the definitions that we're required to have for all of the sections. And so everything is here. It is on our website. Questions can go to Amanda. She'll be happy to answer any of those. And as I said, we did have the public hearing a couple of weeks ago to present this to the public. And it is available on our website. In the consent agenda is the approval of the taper as we presented, and so we do recommend that when you get to the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Littlejohn.
Thank you.
I just want to, at this time, just note that Ms. Marcus is in attendance for our board meeting tonight. Do any board members have questions regarding this presentation? Ms. Marcus, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Torres?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Shea?
No,
do you have
ma'am.
any questions? Mr. Pindell? And Mr. Torres? Mr. Montes?
No, ma'am. Great job as always.
All right. Yes, good job, everybody.
Good job.
Let's see. Our next item is the administrative reports. Does any board member have a question regarding any of the administrative reports? We'll just go down the line. Board member Ms. Torres, any questions or comments? Ms. Shea, any questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Pindell, any questions or comments? Ms. Marcus, any questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Montes, any questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
At this time, we move to the consent agenda item. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda? Ms. Torres? Ms. Shea?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Pindell?
Not this time.
Ms. Marcus?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Montes?
No, ma'am.
Is there a motion on the consent agenda items as listed?
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. At this time, we move on to the action agenda items. Dr. Martinez, action item 7A, annual financial
Thank you, Madam
report.
President. At this time, I call Dr. Jessie Klein. She will present this item and also introduce our guests this evening.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Martinez, members of the board. This evening, we are bringing to you our financial audit for fiscal year 25. So every school district in Texas goes through a financial audit with an external auditing firm. And it starts in around August, and then we just finished it this month. Normally, we bring this to you in January, looking at the prior fiscal year, but TEA, the Texas Education Agency, extended the date on this for all districts. And so we're bringing it to you this month in February. So we start this with GRP, our external auditing firm. They look at all of our financials. If we expend a certain amount in some special programs, they'll take a deeper dive into those areas. and we look at everything from financial information to HR information. This year was test security. So they go through all of these different areas, and then you come up with this very long report that we passed out to you. I know there's a lot of numbers and different tables in there, but there's also a letter at the beginning of that that summarizes our audit and the management discussion. So I do want to first report that we had a clean audit with no findings, which is a great thing. This goes along with our first rating as a district as well. Our external auditors will share some comments with you of things that they have recommendations on, which we've already put in place. But we are very proud of our audit this year that we didn't have any findings, and we do have that clean, unmodified opinion. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our external auditing firm. They're going to go through some images and to put all of the numbers into graphs to help you understand, but we're here to answer any questions that you have throughout the presentation. So at this time, I will turn it over to Mrs. Vanessa Arlacon, who was the lead auditor, and we also have Martha Chavita, who's here with us this evening, who assisted GRP as well.
All right. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Superintendent Martinez. We have a graph presentation prepared of some high-level information from the exhibits, pretty much from the Exhibit C3, which is your statement of activities. We have some information from your general fund and then just district-wide information. Again, there is a clean opinion, technically referred to as an unmodified opinion, as well as no findings for the audit. The first graph we have prepared for you is the comparison of district revenue. So this is going to be on Exhibit C3 in that last column on the top portion of the exhibit where you see the revenues. Overall, there was a decrease of 8.1 million. That decrease has to do with the yellow portion, which is the federal revenue streams that the district receives, and that's now that ESSER has been exhausted, we see that decrease. So that's the overall explanation. Between local and state, there's an offset there. Local increased by 1.2 million, that's that red portion there, where it was 26.7 million the year before, and in 2025, it's 27.9 million. The 1.2 million increase is the result of increases in property taxes due to increases in your assessed valuation. Those increased by 14%. The property taxes increased about 2.4 million. In your property tax collections, but then we also had some offset between some declines in your investment earnings as we utilize the cash balances to spend down for the assigned fund balance projects, and then as well as construction capital projects fund being completed. And so there's a decrease of investment earnings of about $1 million there. And then there was a small in the year before, in 2024, there was an insurance recovery. You all received a little bit this year, but last year it was much higher, and that was for some damages back from 2015. So all of that offsets, but overall that increases for property taxes. On the state side, you see a decrease of 1.1 million. That's the blue portion there. And the decrease there has to do, mostly if I were to isolate it, it has to do with your EDA and IFA funding on the debt side in your debt service fund. In the general fund, where we get our ADA and our enrollment and the foundation school funding, that actually increased in the general fund. But you can't see that here because we've got greater offsets in your other funds. So that decrease, as we pay down the debt, there's less eligible debt, and as we do refundings, then that debt has to cycle in to be eligible, and then they do their recalculations for the next school year. So that declined. The next graph is on the general fund expenditures. So the previous graph was district-wide. This one is only focused on the expenditures in the general fund, which is mostly when you all prepare the budget. This is kind of the focus of where the money's going to be spent. And so you'll see that overall there was a decrease of 2.2 million from the previous year, and the largest portion of that comes from the instruction, which is the blue portion there. That decreased by 1.5 million. And overall, in the general fund, your payroll did increase. The payroll increased because we're still funding We continue to fund ESSER initiatives out of the general fund now that those funds are exhausted. But we have offsets because of the previous year in 2024, we had some assigned fund balance projects for a classroom refresh and a textbook adoption. We don't have those again in 2025. So that's why overall it decreased in the instruction portion. Instructional and school leadership, that decrease is also payroll related. In the summer of 2024, four director and assistant director positions were dissolved. They had been funded out of ESSER. That ESSER funding ran out in 2024, so then we paid them out of the general fund. So there was a few months there, and then in 2025, they weren't there any of the 12 months, so you see that drop there. Student support is only down $200,000. That's also payroll related. The gray portion there is administration, so function 41 and function 99. That one decreased. Your legal services decreased once again, so that's mainly the reason for the decrease there. Non-student services, which is the green portion there, those are going to be your functions 51, 52, and 53, and that's the increase was $100,000 there, and that's also funding some technology staff that were previously funded with ESSER. So overall, not much fluctuation from the previous year, and so a minimal decline in expenditures. This next graph shows how many cents of each dollar go into the different categories. So for instruction, we're spending 54 cents out of every dollar on instruction, and then instructional school leadership is 7 cents. Student support is 20 cents. So student support is going to be your functions 31, 33, 34, 35. And then administration at 3 cents and indirect student services at 16 cents. Compared to the year before, your instructional and school leadership decreased by 1 cent, and then student support increased by 1 cent. And that's mainly, again, those director positions that we didn't have in the 2025, so that's why the yellow portion decreased. This next graph is the general fund per pupil and expenditures and state revenue. What we do here is we, for the red line, we go ahead and take the general fund revenue, the general fund state revenue, and we divide it by your refined average daily attendance. And then the blue bar, we go ahead and take the general fund expenditures and we divide that by your refined average daily attendance. So we're trying to see how many state dollars are funded per pupil. So below the red line is what the state is funding, and then above the red line is what the district is funding out of the general fund. So the 11,303 is what is coming in per pupil, but we're spending almost 15,000 per pupil out of the general fund. So whether it's federal or local funds is making up the difference between that gap, which is about $3,650 there. This graph is the 5-year history of the refined ADA. We do have declining enrollment over the past 5 years. So in 2025, the ADA did decrease by 189, and then over the 5 years, it's a little more over 1,000. So we're at 1,089 over the last 5 years. The last graph we prepared for you is for the general fund balance, and you'll see that the other portion did decline. It was from $28.3 million to $20.1 million. The other category is going to include your assigned and committed amounts. And so as we have those set aside funds for the fund balance projects, we've been spending down, and so that's why that's declined. That was intentional, that was in your budget. And then the blue portion is the unassigned fund balance, and then that grew from 46.1 million to 52.7 million. And so as we're spending down in the assigned category. So that helps to grow the unassigned portion. The days of expenditure is there at the bottom of each of the graphs. And so for 2025, we are at 140, whereas the year before we were at 118 days. So we have a 22-day increase over the prior year. And then we have a 40-day decline over the last 5 years. But if you think about it, it's all been intentional. We've had these fund balance projects, but also you've had the challenge of COVID in these last 5 years. So if any time you were going to use fund balance, it would be during those challenging times. So we also, are there questions on the graphs? No? Okay. We also have a management letter prepared. And so there were 3 comments on the management letter. And the first comment has to just do with some function coding for a payroll position. And so the management has already had already flagged this for the upcoming school year. So it's already been corrected for this 26 fiscal year. And so they're already aware of that. The second item has to do with a unfavorable budget variance in your debt service fund, where we have some bond issuance costs that were more than budgeted. However, the board did approve that funding. The reason it's over is because that happens in the escrow fund. And so it doesn't really use operating funds from the debt service fund. And so what we're gonna do in the future is Jessie will have those amounts so that she can also update the budget side. But the board knew fully well that they approved a refunding and that there were going to be costs associated to that. So those bond issuance costs get paid out of the refunding proceeds. And so they're not really funds out of the debt service fund like the local property tax collections that come in. So. And then the third item, Jessie mentioned that we tested some of the state testing. And so part of what we look at when we're testing one of the federal programs is looking at some of if there's training for your test administrators, and then if they're filling out the oaths before taking in any of the test administrations. One of the campuses that we tested was missing documentation for training and those oaths. Are there other questions? Okay. I would like to thank Jessie and her team and all the departments. I know this year we did do the implementation of a new standard, and so this heavily involved HR and payroll, and then we had more federal programs that we tested. So I know federal programs gave us a lot of information, and so we just appreciate everybody's due diligence in getting us the items on a timely manner, and so just thank you. So.
I'm sure there aren't any questions. I know that's a lot of information, and it's a whole fiscal year, but anything that you would like to talk about before we put this to vote? So I just want to reiterate what Vanessa mentioned, that we did very well financially. We are a financially stable school district. Every slight decline that we had in our fund balance was intentional with the beautiful projects that we're able to do for both inside of our classrooms and our buildings. This year, for fiscal year 26, we were able to give a significant pay raise, and so we will continue to do the great things in our district because of our financial stability at this time. But at this time, we'd like to recommend that the Board of Trustees approve fiscal year 2025 audit as presented.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Klein. Is there a motion on action item 7A, 2024-25 annual financial report?
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
The time is now.
Madam President, if I
Oh,
just
sorry.
may, no, that's fine. I'm not on the agenda, but I just want to say to our public who will listen to on the video, YouTube, that we take the finances of the school district very, very seriously. If I may call it a sacred calling, to be the stewards of the district's funds and the taxpayers' funds. Usually what I say to people is that no taxpayer there is very happy to send us money every single month. And so it is a sacred calling to us, making sure that first and foremost, our students are never impacted by the decisions that we make. And I am very proud to say that we work very hard as a team to make sure that our students have not been affected in any way, shape, or form, because we focus on using those funds to make sure that they have everything they need on a daily basis, and meeting the needs of the teachers as well in terms of supplies, materials, and anything they need to make sure that our students get the very best quality of education. So thank you to the team, but more than anything, thank you to everyone who contributes to making the school district what it is, a financially stable district that we've been for the last 13, 14 years, and I am very proud of that fact. So thank you again to the team, but more importantly, I want to thank our community for the trust that they give us in making sure that we take care of their funding, their school, their children, and that is our sacred calling. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I agree. The time is now 6:45, and the board will adjourn to closed session. No action will take place in closed session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with board attorney, Section 551.074, personnel matters, Section 551.082, school children, school district employees, disciplinary matter or complaint, and Section 551.0821, school board, personally identifiable information about public school student, to discuss agenda items. We'll be discussing consultation with legal counsel regarding legal issues regarding parent custody complaint concerns, and discussion regarding board governance and training, including finalizing March 5th as the date for the Team of 8 board workshop. The Board of Trustees may take appropriate action on any and all matters discussed in closed session.
If we can get a motion, to go into closed session.
Do I have a motion to go to closed session?
Motion.
Second. Thank you. guys are tired, we're gonna, the time is now 7:44, and the board has reconvened to open session. There will be no action taken on the items discussed in open session at this time. So at this time, it's time to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion? Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to adjourn is approved. Hope you guys have a great evening, get some sleep. Spring break's right around the corner. Thank you. I was like, oh, what time is it? Thank you, everybody.